Call the council meeting to order. And
I was going to say, just one amendment. This is under correspondence, and it deals with correspondence, copies of letters that we've received regarding the former Grandview property redevelopment.
okay, do I have a motion to accept the agenda? Wyden and Reach. All in favor? Carried. Declaration of pecuniary interests, if any. None noted. For the Reeves report, I think I'll let some of the other ones that are here in our delegation go through a number of things that have been coming forward in homecoming planning. And for those that can make it, the international plowing match just the other side of Metro is on tomorrow till the end of the week. Okay, you want to introduce the deputation, Gary? Oh, reading of the previous minutes. Campbell and McGowan. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Reed. Tonight we have Jason Goodall and Trevor Sept from the Wingham Homecoming Committee. Joe? Is this going to go?
If it doesn't, you can complain later on.
This will be the only time, I mean.
She's closer to the door.
All right, Reed, Vincent, and council members, thanks for having us. As mentioned, my name is Jason Goodall. I'm the chairman for the Homecoming Committee, and with me is Trevor Sept. He's our finance guru and chairperson as well. And in the room is Reed Vincent is our council liaison, and Connie Goodall is our Township of North Huron liaison. So thank you for having us. Did a little presentation here, so it's easier to see. This is our committee that we currently have. There's 21 people involved right now as committee heads. We have to add on a historical committee chairperson, which is Jody Jerome. She's agreed to do that for us, so she'll be a good addition to our team. She's very knowledgeable in that area. We have sent out our sponsorship packages to the community. As with all festivities of this nature, we do need some funding to get started. We will be sending a package to council and hoping that we can have some in-kind support. We'll discuss that at a later date, I'm sure. Currently, we have received feedback from 2 platinum sponsors, which is that's a $3,000 plus level of sponsorship. That is Leslie Motors and Foxton Fuels have stepped up and provided us that. The gold level of platinum is $1,000 to $3,000, and CJ Johnson has provided us that. So, and we have other silver sponsors that have came forward as well. So we're quite happy about that. This is our Wingham Homecoming Community Draw. The tickets have gone out. We started handing them out last week. We have 900 tickets handed out. So what this is, it's a community draw. There will be 2,000 tickets sold. Each ticket will be $20. From each ticket, we are asking community groups to help us sell these tickets. So for each ticket that the community group sells, they will receive $10 back for selling that ticket. $6 of that will go back to homecoming for fundraising, and $4 from each ticket will go to purchasing gift certificates. And all the gift certificates will be purchased from local North Huron merchants. So all the money from this draw will stay in our community. The early bird draw, as you can see, will be November 15th. That will be held during our community homecoming Christmas house tour. We're doing that. There'll be 5 houses that we're looking to have decorated and visiting. That will be on November 15th and 16th. The main draw will be held during the Leslie Motors Car Show, which is on the Monday of the homecoming weekend. So our homecoming colors, I just noticed I made a mistake in this. It's the homecoming word should be white. We are white, lime green, and purple. So Williams colors have traditionally been blue and yellow, but our decorating committee thought that this would be much easier to have. They've chosen these colors more for the flowering within the town that you can still be getting with the Horticultural Society and Pat's group to discuss. And, our next one is the layout that we're proposing. So we'd like to have all of our events, except for sporting events, I guess. We're having games at the ballpark, but we'd like to have, as you can see, everything in the arena parking lot. The opening ceremonies and all of the meals would be held in the arena. The car show would be held, we're hoping, along Kerr Drive. That would be something to discuss later if we could close that down, but that's in discussions later. And in the parking lot. And then the beer gardens would be, as refreshment tents, sorry, would be in that area in the parking lot. That's right. And you can't really see it, but there's red. We're having a kids area and some volleyball areas there. And up in what is the old Joe Kerr's parking lot is we will maybe pursue having a midway. So we'd like to keep it all in the one area. That was one of the recommendations from the last homecoming. And their schedule of events, this is just as I always say, they're subject to change. So this is what we have planned right now. The big things, Friday night dance, Saturday night dance, Sunday night dance, the car show on Monday. There's a golf tournament. We're going to have a kids golf tournament on a Thursday and a golf tournament on Friday. There's seniors activities. The midway, there's the meals, fish dinner, roast beef dinner, and a steak dinner are planned at this time. And breakfast is each day. So at this time, we'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to help us. We've received great support from the community, from council, from media. We appreciate all that support. And if you, as we've all said, remember this is everyone's homecoming. So any ideas that can be provided to us would be welcomed. So thank you. Is there any questions?
Questions,
I
comments?
don't think so, but it's pretty obvious that your committee has done a great amount of work and you're very well organized, so that's great. Congratulations to them.
Oh, thank you. We have a lot of work to do still.
I'm sure you do.
Yes,
Gary?
What are sort of your efforts to publicize homecoming, obviously beyond Wingham's borders, and how do you attract former Wingham residents and reach out to those people?
we do have a Facebook page. We have a website as well, a Twitter account, and one thing that we will do is probably we would mail out. We have many names and addresses from the previous homecoming, and we'd do a mailing to those people to invite them back. That hasn't really been discussed, or we haven't found anyone to do that yet. Head that up, so.
I was just going to say, do we have a link to our website, Con?
We will tomorrow if we don't today.
Okay, well, you two talk about the site. It would be nice to have a nice marketing area on our website to draw people and point them in the right direction of your website so they know what's coming.
Sure.
And they can just click on it and go, and they'll see all the events and everything else.
That's great.
I think a lot of that Sorry, I think a lot of it too is that with the media, it's gonna reach much farther than our borders, like
Oh, yeah.
CKNX is all over this area.
Yes.
And even, there's no reason why we can't hit a radio station in Kitchener or whatever for whatever we have. We've got a media plan, it's just that we gotta execute that plan, so.
Right. I was just thinking, even, I know there's a lot of people that have moved away, like I think last time there's people coming from BC and
Yep.
all over the place, so I thought it might help you a little bit, because they keep an eye on what's going on through the different websites. Well, that's good.
I actually have a cousin in Vancouver who has signed up for the golf tournament.
Well, there you go.
Rod?
One anniversary for a town, they made a lot of mileage on collecting names by sending out an early letter to the names that they had and asking people to send in the names of other people that might have missed out or have moved to the area after they did, or something like that, so that they begin to build the list from the existing list.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Well, but the meetings are interesting. So,
Elaborate on that, or?
not at this time.
The Reeve doesn't have the gavel with her.
Oh, you put him in his place, dude.
No, it's very interesting, the committee chairs that are really stepping forward, taking ownership of what they're supposed to be taking care of, so it's a great group to work with. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, thanks.
Is there any business arising from previous meetings? Moving to department reports. Just the health and safety system.
That's correct.
Moving to point 2, administration. Who's taking that? You, Gary, or? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Reeve. There's been a lot of council discussion about the electric vehicle charger. You know, it has been purchased. We have received the unit. We've priced out the cost of locating it in front of Town Hall, as well as in front of the museum, as well as mounting it on the Wingham Police Station. You'll note that the estimated cost of installing it in front of the Town Hall is fairly significant, and that's because a wire would have to run from the sidewalk underground to the back of the Town Hall and then wired into the panel, and that's about 170 feet. And so the electrician is estimated that would take probably a couple of days. The materials, given the special wiring required, is costly as well. I know that was, I think, there was informal consensus that that was the preferred choice, but I feel that's rather costly, and an alternate solution, a recommendation would be to mount it in front of the museum, which would keep it downtown, which is where we want it in terms of publicity and visibility, ecotourism. We can install it in front of the museum for about $1,800. This has been discussed with Public Works, it's been discussed with the electrician, and it would be in front of the museum. They could wire it back to the panel at the museum. It is also recommended that a parking spot in front of the unit be painted green, and that we purchase an electric vehicle parking sign from Sun Country that would clearly identify it as an EVC parking spot, in addition to the green paint. We're also recommending that an event be held later this fall to officially unveil and commission the unit. Chris Mish, who was here in early August, would like to come back and be part of that commissioning. And I've also outlined how installing the unit in downtown relates to the strategic plan in terms of downtown revitalization, ecotourism, and it's an investment that demonstrates our commitment to the environment.
So I'll move it for discussion. I have a couple of questions. I'll move it for discussion. To go with the 1800 in front of the museum.
Councillor Campbell seconds. Go ahead if you.
So, a couple of questions. One is painting the parking site green and signing it is a wonderful idea. But Murphy's Law says that somebody will park in that spot. I mean, how are we going to police that, so to speak? Is that something we're going to look long-term at putting in the parking bylaw? How do you control that?
I had some discussions with our Director of Public Works on that, and just kind of an informal discussion, but we feel that we don't have the authority to police it. Is that something that we really want to police? The unit itself comes with a 20-foot cable, so if there is someone parked in the EDC parking spot, there should be enough room for the electric vehicle to pull up close to that vehicle and then charge with the 20-foot hose.
The other thing is, once it's installed, how do we propose to market it on our website to those eco-tourists who do have electric cars that I know it goes on the company's website in the map that they populate with all the charging stations, but how do we make that identifiable on our website that we do have, and I believe there's one blog too, that identify those sites, that there are sites within North Toronto that do have the electrical charging stations for electric cars.
I can certainly talk to our economic development officer about ways we can promote that on our site and make it a prominent part of the site for sure.
Other discussion? Go ahead.
I guess I'm going to be the dissenting person and say that I think that, looking at the prices, I think that we should install it on the side of the police station for a couple of reasons. One, for the parking, be less likely to be parking spaces used up by the police station, and
You haven't seen it on court yet.
we have our businesses already on the main street that we're taking theoretically 1 or 2 parking spots away from them. And then the cost, I like to save $800, and then also having it out on the main street. Then we have snow plowing, more likely for vandalism, and so that's why I think it should go down on the police station. And it's less than a half a block off Main Street.
That was a question I sort of had while Councillor Reach or Deputy Reach was saying that, is what about snow removal and salt and things like that? Is that a concern?
Well, we looked at the 2 different spots, well, all 3 of them actually, and the location they'll put that will be close enough to one of the poles that are there now, so as far as snow removal, it probably won't matter where it's going to be placed. As far as the salt and sand go, it's like anything else, it's definitely over time.
Councillor Bailey?
Just to comment on what Dave said, the Main Street merchants would like it on the Main Street. They're very adamant about that. They want high visibility. They were aware of the 3 places we were going to put it. They were aware of the costs, and they're quite determined to have it on the Main Street, so they are pushing this too.
Gary?
Actually, I just want to confirm that I was approached by several women business owners last week at the meeting we had with business leaders. I didn't talk to everyone that was there, but certainly several of them expressed their interest, their preference being having the unit down.
Brock?
I think the visibility is an important angle, the PR angle, people being aware that we have the station. I would like to say the $800 too, but I think part of the reason for offering this service free of charge is to get usage and get noticed.
That I agree with that, and that by putting signs, say on 86, on the east and west, stating where it is. It's basically up Main Street, and if it's across the street from Town Hall, that would be very easy directions for anybody to follow. Where you put an extra turn or two in, people start mixing things up and wondering how hard it's going to be to get to. So that signage of where it is would be a lot simpler on Main Street. Thank you. Any further comments? Right.
So does the county have to be notified about this at all? Where it goes?
For signage and to put the painting of the green, they would definitely require.
I assume these cars all have GPS on them, so they know before they leave home.
They probably can't
Where
afford it.
exactly it would be, so I don't know.
In that this really isn't a street behind me. It's just sort of a municipal right-of-way. So that it might not be registered GPS-wise. If there's no further discussion, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Carried. Moving to the second point in two, the campaign 1419, Memorial Hall and the 3D laser scanning. Do you want to head it up, Gary?
Okay, thank you, Reed. There's been a lot of discussion at the last couple of council meetings regarding the campaign 1419 project. Since our last council meeting, myself and our Director of Facilities have had conversations with both Tor Dingman as well as Doug Hulbert from Huron Geomatics. As you know, Council have retained Tor Dingman to complete the facility condition assessment on Memorial Hall. And I guess as a supplementary to that, the campaign 1419 committee have discussed at length using Huron Geomatics and their 3D laser scanning technology. And so council instructed myself and the director to get more information about that. So I think we have a little more clarity as to the work that Tor is doing and how the work that Huron Geomatics could be doing are completely separate, but they're still complementary. Huron Geomatics, if retained, would complete a 3D laser scan of Memorial Hall, and this would produce a data set that would help to create CAD drawings and a 3D virtual tour of Memorial Hall with fly-through modeling and digital animation. And this could be used by the campaign for marketing and fundraising purposes. This data would also help the project architect, who would be different from Tor Dingman, as Tor Dingman's just doing the building assessment. And this data would be helpful for the design phase. As we know, Campaign 1419 has discussed their desire to use Huron Geomatics with council on an informal basis. And I think it was my read of the council discussion, which was just informal, that council were receptive to the idea of using this technology and showcasing and supporting a high-tech company right in our backyard. I'm recommending that Huron Geomatics be retained on behalf of Campaign 1419 to complete the 3D laser scanning that would produce a data set, but that anything over and above the 3D laser scan would be at the expense of the Campaign 1419 committee.
may before it.
You may.
I'm curious as to, I think using here in geometrics is a great idea. I think it's a neat technology, and I think it would have real benefits. I'm just wondering, you know, I kind of thought that there might be an opportunity to sort of partner on the cost. So my first question is, you know, is there an opportunity to, you know, split the cost of getting the scan done, or was that discussed? And secondary to that is, you know, I don't think we have this in this year's budget. So is this, how are we proposing to plan on this, to do this?
To answer your first question, I've had conversations with the committee members about the desire to cost share this. At this time, the campaign committee doesn't have funds. They have pledges, but no funds. So they are asking council to cover the cost of the 3D laser scan. Myself and the director have put it back to the committee to say, if council were prepared to fund the base cost of doing the laser scan, we feel we would recommend that the committee pay for any services above and beyond the basic data set.
Rob?
It seems to me that that leaves another problem. If we underwrite the scan and the creation of the data set, they won't have any money to produce any drawings from it, at least immediately. How are they going to span that gulf?
It's felt that it is felt that that this data would not be required for several months, and during that time, the campaign would be raising funds, calling in those pledges that have been made. That the first thing that we need to do, and the committee needs to do, is have Torridon complete his facility condition assessment. And then once that is complete, that may take 2 or 3 months. But this work, this laser scan wouldn't be required for several months.
I thought he was going to use the drawings coming from the data set to work his plans. That was my impression.
He's going to be completing his own architectural drawings. That's one of his areas of expertise. And it was felt that he would complete those architectural drawings, provide those to the engineer and others who will be commenting on the building condition assessment, so there's a schematic base that everyone can refer to in their reports on the building condition assessment.
So that's within his fee that we've already seen and dealt with.
That's correct.
Just a follow-up then, Your Worship, and I don't know, the Director of Facilities may have to answer this, but the time frame, if Gary is correct, is 2 months, 2 to 3 months on Thor's assessment of the building. Is that accurate? I mean, I know that's an estimate, so.
It's 3 phases, and I really believe that the first phase would be finished within the next 3 to 4 weeks, which would be the initial drawings and intake of building users. And then the next phase is the technical piece where he's bringing in engineers, so that may take another month. So 2 months is not unrealistic to say that that's what it would take to get our final report from him. They've had to kind of, we have to do it also around shows and things going on there, of course, schedule.
I guess the question I'm probably going to end up at is this something we should be waiting until the budget or into the new year to discuss? Or do they need confirmation, like does Doug need to know what's, like that we're going ahead, or, I'm just thinking sort of from a timelines point of view, there seems that there's a few questions that, I don't think there's any dead around the table we want to do this, but there seems to be, you know, some logistical questions of timeframes and things like that, that maybe we would know more in a month or 2.
You had some.
I spoke with one of the committee members this morning, actually, and the concern was, number one, is where we committed to doing it, and also they're in the planning stages, and they need to move ahead with a number of different projects or fundraising and so on. And they And a lot of it hinges on getting the 3D drawings done so that they have, number one, a marketing basis, and number two, a fundraising.
Okay, so then going back from a budgetary perspective, we had sort of set some funds aside to do the condition assessment of the facility. Is there funds available to cover the peer and geometrics portion of this, or, you know, I guess where's the money coming from?
There's $30,000 in the budget for facility condition assessments, plus we received a grant, and I can't remember how much that is, maybe
About 3,400.
another $3,400 in a grant towards this. So we have ample funds within the budget to cover all these costs that would all be dedicated to the one facility, but it would be a very thorough assessment and drawing set.
Oh, okay, and my only reservation is, right, we've had our experience now at the town hall. We're likely going to run into similar issues, very likely, in Memorial Hall. So we ought to be careful eating up all of the funds that we have necessarily, just in case. I'm just saying, if something's going to pop up, you know, we're going to need to utilize those funds as a contingent for whatever that is. I just don't want to leave us too close.
At this point, it's only a condition assessment. There's no work being done on the building as part of this phase. So I guess what I'm getting at is that you're thinking that maybe they're going to find something that needs even further engineering or further, and that is, of course, a possibility. However, I'm confident that most users of the building are aware of the hot spots, and that during that initial phase of drawings and building user input, we're going to get a good understanding of what's going to need the most work. And I mean, I can, off the top of my head, name 4 or 5 things that, you know, are the key issues. You're right, it does, but it still leaves us some funds within there. We would be spending $26,000, and we have the 34.6, did you say? 34.6 in the budget, which would leave us a bit of wiggle room for the assessment.
Councillor Bailey?
Could I direct my question to Donna, the Director of Finance? I believe over the last year, maybe 6 months, we've eaten up about $100,000 that were not in the budget to be spent, according to the way I read it. So we've beaten up a lot of money, and I believe we've completed 2 or 3 what I would call accounts. I'm not sure what you want to call them as an accounting person. When we're talking about spending this kind of money and this is going on, and again, I hear that we have 30,000 here and 40,000 here, but from sitting in my chair, it looks like we are eating up all the money we have set aside, which means we have to replenish that during the next budget, plus add to the next budget for upcoming projects. So my question is, are we being comfortable here? Are we dragging money from other places we should not be? Do we have any money left should a roof spring a leak? Can we use money for something else besides it?
So this year, as part of the budget, we have actually transferred quite a bit of extra money out of reserves, with the town hall being the biggest expenditure from reserves. Of course, that still didn't have any effect on taxation because we took it from reserves. It's up to council to decide next year. We'll be having that discussion of the next year's budget, whether you replenish that or whether you're satisfied that your levels are still okay. So that's a discussion we're going to be having. We'll probably have some of that starting on the 30th, and then it will carry through to our next year's budget. And then, as Pat explained, we had, in every year we've always recommended that we set aside money for these long-term facility assessments, and this is the very first year that it's actually made it through the budget process. It's always been cut out before, and so this is the first year that's actually stayed in, which is a great start. We should have been doing it long ago, so we're happy that that's going to be ongoing. As you know, you have a variety of money in reserves, which can be, at this moment, every bit of it is earmarked for something in the future, but it would just take a motion of council to redirect that to something. So if we had a terrible emergency, say for example the money that we put away for either some equipment or some of those types of things, we could redirect into an emergency situation through council. But definitely the discussions on replenishing reserves are going to be part of our next few months' discussions.
My answer back on that is, Councillor Hallahan has said many times that we are affecting the taxes when we borrow from our reserves. So to say we're not affecting it in 2013 is a sleight of hand, because really, we do have to put that money back. We cannot keep going to the well. It will go empty. And as you said, this is the very first year that a council has found room and had a determination to go ahead, because we understand these buildings have to be kept up, but we do have to replenish that. And this is I see this as a major headache if we're not careful going towards the next budget. Thank you for your answer.
Councillor Vaughan?
I just have a question, semi-related to this for Deputy Reed Reach. Does the committee have a new chairperson? Peter's gone.
I'll respond. The committee has hired Peter as on a retainer to help with the committee, and he'll be staying on and helping to go forward.
Good, thank you very much.
So not to beat a dead horse, but I have a question. So is there an opportunity, you think, I understand that for cash flow reasoning, the group doesn't want a partner. Would there be any opportunity, or would they be palatable to us burning the money and then, then reimbursing it as pledges come in? I'm thinking that I would like this project to be a partnership, and this is a large expense. We are paying for the condition assessment, and it is our building, and that is our responsibility, and I want to see this project go ahead. And we too want to showcase a local business. Is there an opportunity to partner with the amount?
I can certainly take that back to campaign 1419 and propose that to them. I know they're keen to meet with the council on a regular basis to keep you informed as to the status of their campaign, and perhaps there would be an opportunity in the very near future for council and the campaign committee to get together and to discuss Huron geomatics and possible partnership there.
Yeah, and I don't want the wrong sort of message to go back that we're not on board with this. I think we are. I think I'm asking, and I know it's $13,000, so I think we'd be partnering on 6 each. But I'm fearful that there are going to be more expenses coming up here, and that's why I want, if this is going to be a great community partnership between 1419, the community, and council. I just, we have to be mindful that there will be things that are going to pop up that the municipality is going to be asked to deal with, because it is our building. And so if there's any opportunities for partnerships, I just want to explore those in a possible, meaningful way.
Councillor Vaughan?
I'd like to underline what Councilor McGowan is saying, because I think it's a very valid question. A lot of the attraction for this 3D graphing is based on matters related to theater and the use of the hall, as opposed to the reconstruction of the hall itself. And so I think it's valid that some of the monies coming to this is put to that purpose. I think it's an exceptionally large amount of money for us to put out just to support the immediate renovations that we're talking about. I don't think we can justify the $13,000 just on the basis of the current renovations. It seemed to me, as we talked about it, that one of the values was that down the road we could use this data set for stage design and for all kinds of work throughout the building, because it would all be included in the data set.
Okay. Right.
So, Gary, could you defer this until you met with them?
If that's the direction I received tonight from council, I think it would be desirable on their part to have council make a decision tonight. That being said, I don't think that it's critical that a decision be made tonight, so I think it could be deferred
Until our next council meeting.
I make a motion to table.
And Councillor Campbell seconded it. All in favor of the table motion? Gary? Status report.
Okay, thank you, Reed. Myself and directors and senior staff have put together a project management status report. I think the last report that we provided to you was early to mid-May. So this will give you a snapshot as to projects and initiatives that all of us are working on at the present time and will be working on later this fall. I should note that myself and the directors are meeting on Wednesday all day as sort of a planning and priorities session as we look ahead to identifying our priorities between now and the end of the calendar year and looking ahead to 2014 as well. But myself and the directors would be pleased to answer any questions you have about the current status report.
Councillor Biden?
I have a question about the last item under economic development, assist with Blythe Street 365 public input process. Is that the survey that was done or is in the process?
No, after meeting with Douglas Burrell and some of the projects that he is working on behalf of the Blythe BIA, he has just requested my assistance in putting together some public information sessions to get some input on the Blythe 365 initiative. It should be fairly minimal work on his part. He's doing the majority of the work. He just wanted my help in getting some meetings arranged.
Is there anything written on this so we find out what
that would be one of the projects that the WBIA had, or the Blythe BIA had received some HEDP funding on.
Oh, okay.
The only comment I would make is it's quite a list. It really is when you look at it. And I think most of us were at the Wingham business meeting where the department heads updated all the businesses as well as the businesses of Blythe. I received feedback from a number of businesses from that meeting. I sent them an email, asked them what their take was on it, and a lot of them were really surprised at the amount of things that are really going on. There was a number of businesses that made comment that there really is a lot of excitement in the air in the entire community across North Huron. It doesn't matter whether it's the new businesses moving into East Walnut School or what's going on in Blythe or the things that are happening in Wingham, that there really is an overall excitement about progress being made and projects that are being completed. And I think this list just, it just pinpoints all those different areas that we're looking at. Not to say that those are the only ones we should be looking at. The list maybe should be twice as long if we had more bodies, but I think it's a good indicator of making some progress in a lot of key areas that are necessary for the movement ahead of our strategic plan.
Okay. Rob?
I have another question. Under corporate services, revisions and updates to the human resources policy, will council be approving that? Are we going to see a draft of the new human resources policy?
The revisions that were done have our policies that some have been approved by council, i.e. allowing our volunteer firefighters to be in part of our employee wellness program. The other revisions were just word housekeeping changes, not really anything changing the policy, just more housekeeping, and they've been circulated through our Human Resources Committee, which is comprised of staff and has council representation on it, and forwarded to staff for insertion in their policy binders.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Carroll?
Just comment, I like this. It sure tells us what's gone on and what is still going on. Something we have asked for, and it answers a lot of my questions. It's good, looks good.
Appreciate the feedback.
If there's nothing further on that, we'll move to point 3, Director of Corporate Services, Deputy Clerk. CBO plumbing inspections. Kathy?
Included in your package is an update from Dave Black, our chief building official, regarding plumbing inspections. As you recall, we did receive correspondence from Morris Turnberry on our August 6th agenda where they had approached the county that they would like to be able to provide their own plumbing services at the lower tier of government. And they have, at that time, council did support Morris Turnberry's position. They have went ahead and had their chief building official certified to do their inspections or qualified. But I don't believe at this point there's any answer back from the county on this inquiry from Morris Turnberry. So what we have included is just some background information on plumbing inspections and the costs that for next year that we would be including in the 2014 budget if council decided that we wanted to go forward and have our chief building official also certified to do those inspections. So we're just looking for council's direction on where you would like to go with this. I believe we have discussed this, it was last fall, we brought information to you on this, and we said we would keep you updated on this.
Councillor Biden?
There's conflicting information coming out of Morris Turnberry on one hand, who's saying that they aren't getting the inspections done promptly and in a timely fashion. The county is saying there isn't any problem. Everybody gets service and everything runs tickety-boo. So I would like to know what our status is. Where do we stand in terms of getting inspections completed for buildings? Is there a delay? Do we get good service? What exactly is the reason that we would consider putting in our own service?
From being on county council, although I'm not on the health Board of Health this year, the inspection timing can vary greatly. That the county and the chair of the Board of Health says they don't have written complaints on file for it taking a long time with the people's names, so that the county takes that there hasn't been any problem. Councilor McGowan?
I would, suggest that we have received complaints, particularly from Blythe businesses who were opening up new businesses, the delay that they went through with their plumbing inspections and how frustrating that was to them. And we don't need an inspection process being a barrier to economic development. So on the other hand, though, this is a very expensive venture to take. And I wouldn't say cost recovery on it looks like it's very likely in the near future. You'd have to make up a fair number of building permits to cover off the cost of the education before you start. I would much rather see that from our perspective, from Morris Turnberry, I think it made sense for them, and I'm okay to support them in that. But I would much rather see that the county somehow find ways to streamline their inspection process so as not to be a disincentive for businesses in Huron County. And I'm sure there's simple ways to do that. I think there's certain services within the county that are okay to be left at the county level. Here's some proof that maybe it doesn't make good sense to bring this down to a lower level. That's a lot of money.
Councilor Bailey?
We did back Morris Turnberry for this, and during that conversation I had mentioned, and I'll mention again, that I think this would be a great opportunity for us to further partner with Morris Turnberry, since they put their person through the schooling and have the education, that it may be in our best interest to use their person rather than the county. This has been an ongoing concern for many years, and I'll take you back 20 years ago, where across the street I had a cement truck sitting there at noon waiting to be unloaded for a floor on a Friday afternoon, and the inspector never did show up. So this is not something that's just happened, and yes, I'll verify what Archie said, that we have had several complaints, especially from the Blythe area, that we're aware of. And I think it would be in our best interest, again, to look to our neighbors and look to partnering with our neighbors for a fast, efficient service, since they have qualified persons, saving the money that we would not have to spend certifying our own inspector.
Councilor Campbell?
We did some building on our property this year, and the plumbing inspector was a big deal. You call for inspection, you might be a week, you might be 2 weeks. There was definitely a delay on what went on. And I feel with Bernie that if this is something that we can partner with our neighbor on, let's look into it and see what it will cost us. But we have to think of our people whom we are serving and giving them a service. And we're not getting a service from the county.
Deputy Reeve?
I agree with everything that's been said, and I agree that the inspection has to take place on a lot more timely basis. But if you read down through this, the second from the last point on the second page, succession planning for the building department. And if we spend all this money and then we have our building inspector retire or leave for another position, then we've spent a lot of money that we can't recoup. And so I think partnering with our neighboring municipality is a good idea, or taking our concerns back to county and asking them to get their act together so that inspections are done on a more timely basis. And I think going back to county initially is the first step that we need to take.
Councillor Vaughn?
I'd like to know some numbers related to this. I mean, obviously, there have been a lot of problems. The current warden told me about a case where they had a Friday afternoon getting ready for a grand opening of a new business the next day, and the inspector found a floor drain that was half an inch out of place or something, and that was throwing the whole thing out. They couldn't open up until they found some legal way around this. But how many cases are there? Surely Dave Black would have an idea of the delay, since he's involved with issuing permits and so on. He might have some sense of how frequent these situations are. It's a lot of money if it's only going to address occasional issues. But if it's widespread, then we need to do something about it.
Okay, maybe I'll try adding some more information, and that it's starting down the road, that it's verbal that I've got from members of the Board of Health. But they are entertaining an amalgamation with Perth County Board of Health that does no inspections on sanitary or plumbing. So that this is something that we may have to look at, and we may have to look at 2 or 3 municipalities working together, using a trained inspector or something. But it's something that we have to think about, and I think we probably have some time to work on it, but there is things that will be coming down the channel.
So rather than delay this then too much longer, this discussion, I think what's coming out of this is there needs to be some parallel discussions going on. One, I think Councillor Bodden's point on data collection through the building department, so that we can have fruitful discussions with the county. And I also think we do need to sit down with our neighbors of Morris Turnberry and find out what their vision for plumbing inspections are and what the costs are related to that. Look for opportunities to partner with them on that. And then, with all that information in front of us, make a good decision for our businesses and ratepayers.
Thank you, and that I know that there's a number of, I'll say, young people have finished the environmental management courses at, the first 2 years of the University of Guelph degree are at Ridgetown, and there's a number of environmental management technicians that have already had, I'll say, significant training in this area. So that don't be scared of looking at creating something with a younger person that's well trained. Thank you. Okay. Okay, anything under new business? Okay, there's council information package. Anything that jumps out?
Question yours, bills and accounts. There's an item on page 3 that's got notation in brackets, economic development, partway down the page, content management corp, e-news showcase for 4,520. Where did you just, what is that? It's on page 3. It says it's for economic development.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, that is actually, we have signed up with, and it's part of my report later, the Society of Office and Industrial Realtors. So what this, we've signed up for 6 months with them. What this does for us is puts an e-newsletter into the inbox of 3,800 commercial real estate agents across Canada.
Nice.
So we're trying it for 6 months. There's some really, when you look at the e-newsletter, there's some of the municipalities and the communities that are really moving and growing are on there. We thought we would try it. What that will do is, on our ad, we'll direct them directly to our economic development page. So before we go live, the first email that we will go out in is the September 25th email. We'll really kind of do some work on our economic development page and give everything that they're looking for. When they click on our ad, that'll go right to our economic development page on our website.
Okay, so that's really interesting, and I like that idea, sort of mass mailing. My question, will part of this be, an identification throughout the municipality of available lots and available retail opportunities?
We're going to make sure that when they click to our economic development page, that all of the information that they're looking for is going to be right there.
So just so I understand this, then we're going to be advertising for private individuals that are trying to use their, this to rent their buildings. But we, as a community, have, I believe, one lot to sell, which would be an industrial park. And we're going to stick with industrial development, not retail development, not residential development. But this is industrial development, like we have one
It
lot.
goes to commercial real estate agents. So it's a commercial real estate agents that are looking for any kind of development opportunities.
So obviously that would capture all areas. I mean, in the industrial or retail, we've got buildings for sale or have come for sale over a period of time. That would throw that out there.
Yeah.
And obviously in conjunction with rental opportunities or industrial opportunities or whatever, maybe
Yeah.
Okay. Point number 7,
Did I use your finances a little?
Oh, okay.
Sorry. On page 1, we have the Blythe Marketing, Painted Black Studios for $2,500. Is this a BIA initiative, or is this a North Shore City?
Councillor Lawton?
It's a Blythe BIA.
So it's just a check going out from their funds then?
Yes.
From their
No,
funds.
no, it isn't, bro.
Oh, it's a check from us, but it's part of their BIA funding, right?
Gary can probably explain it better, but what that is council passed a motion here at a couple of meetings ago to donate $2,500 towards this initiative over and above
Oh,
that one. So that's part of that. That was your donation.
sorry, I missed that. Forgot about that.
Gary?
So item number 5, County of Huron Emergency Services Community Notification System. David Liu, Chief Emergency Services
Yes.
Officer, will be attending the October 21st council meeting as a delegation to speak to the new community notification system. Just FYI.
And for number 7, I will be attending that invitation. Okay, anything else? I found it interesting reading over point number 9 concerning the rural issues and provincial policy statement. And I felt a better definition of rural that would include agricultural, natural environment, and a number of others that have been sort of centered by themselves in provincial policy statements. Rob?
I found the other two parts of that letter very depressing. When they talk about transportation at AMO, they're discussing with the province only the gas tax and the infrastructure. And we have many problems in transportation that are quite apart from gas tax, and although gas tax might help along the way in some cases, but we have problems with the services are moving farther and farther away from people, and if they don't have a car, if they don't have access, they can't afford it, they have great difficulty getting to service. And this is happening all across the rural areas of Ontario, and we're not getting any closer to solving it. There have been a number of initiatives trying to study transportation, but it's usually just looking at the health issues and nothing else, or they're looking at the exercise and the active transportation aspect, but it seems to me that nobody is looking at the whole picture. Similarly with the school issue, they're talking with the province now about rural school areas being integrated with community centers and libraries and so on. Well, Blythe's already down the tube, and we can't even talk about that now, but there are other communities who are losing their schools, and integration with a community center that's over here with schools that are miles away, I mean, it just isn't working. And so I find that AMO is not really our friend, and same with Roma. They're not really looking at the issues that we see, in my view at least. So I just find it a little bit disturbing and disappointing.
Gary?
Just a quick note on the transportation concerns expressed by Councillor Godden. One organization, in my opinion, that has been a strong voice for transportation issues has been the Southwest Economic Alliance. In fact, they issued a bulletin today calling on municipal councils to pass resolutions calling on, well, it's more the federal government to reinvest in via rail and so on. I just received that today. I thought we'd put that on the next council meeting for council's consideration. They're asking councils to consider passing a resolution in support of Sweden's position.
That's good. I hope that we can get organized somehow and get some of these areas that are still in the dark brought to light.
Okay, are we ready for a motion to receive, order, and file? If you need seconds. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence. We have some letters from ratepayers concerning the proposed Grandview property redevelopment. Go ahead.
Your Worship, I was just going to suggest that, all these concerns, I'm glad these ratepayers have sent them to us in writing. I know that I have had a few people mention their concerns in phone calls to me. Hopefully the same people will come to the public meeting, which the date escapes me at this moment, but which I know will be very well advertised. And these concerns, I think, we need to take forward to that public meeting on behalf of our residents and get answers to the questions that we may have around, I know I have personally seen the site plan, and I have some concerns about the site plan. And any other questions that our ratepayers may have too, to give them level of comfort that whatever the development may or may not be can move forward, hopefully in some regard.
Brock?
There was a public meeting the same night as our previous council meeting.
What was it that night?
Yeah.
That it was
So I
in
don't know
Central
whether,
Huron when we were having a council meeting. So that I know that many of the things that we looked at in trying to provide another access and off the county road for the Wingham Tim Hortons, basically rules that we were told then seemed just to vanish.
Really?
And that basically having an exit from your drive-through less than 100 feet away from a dangerous intersection that does not meet at 90 degrees, where that intersection is on an angle, and that if there's tractor trailers parked on the side of the pavement, blocking visibility of the corner, I feel that there's a number of points that particular lot has a number of safety concerns.
Just another question, Your Worship. What's that meeting, the rezoning meeting? Because I know there's been a couple of public meetings now that I only found out about through a phone call from a different ratepayer, and I know that we hadn't gotten circulated on that public meeting, which I think Gary has dealt with that with Peggy, and that was just sort of an oversight. Was that the actual meeting on the rezoning of the?
That is when Central Huron Council dealt with it
Okay.
and passed a motion that they were in favor of it proceeding.
Okay. So now it moves on to the county then.
So that as far as the public meeting, it will probably be, the next public meeting will be at the county.
So can we ask that through you, we have that date up front, we can maybe provide it to these ratepayers. I think they have a right to attend to that meeting and voice the concerns, that they have around site plan management, and perhaps through, conversations later, we can supply Gary with some information for our planner to take back to Central Huron's planner about concerns about site plan control and just, directional traffic and things like that with regards to that initial draft.
And there is some clauses in the Huron County plan that this would violate.
if we have concerns about the traffic, I would hope that we would have an opportunity to speak at the county level, or is that not possible?
That knowing when it came up, that like I would have the opportunity to question, but if I had anybody else from North Huron there, that there's ones that can speak in favor and ones that could speak against, and that would be part of the process.
But we need to establish a position, I
Yes.
think, on that.
All right.
Well, I think the county already knows that that's a dangerous intersection to begin with, because they've talked about the lights in there for some time, so.
According to the traffic study done by the proponent, everything's okay in all the studies that they've done.
But this may change that. Or if they,
Yeah.
It just
It's a subject that I don't know near enough about to really make the decision. I have a lot of questions in my mind. Anything else on that from council or? Okay, Gary.
Just a quick note, if I may, Reeve. I received an email from Central Huron's planner noting that that she also received copies of these letters by email, and that she was going to be sending a response to everyone that sent letters, and that she was going to CC Peggy at Central Huron with copies of the letters and her response. I also wanted to note that I have had several conversations with my counterpart in Central Huron about servicing the former Grandview property and the need to establish the cross-border services agreement between the two municipalities,
Including a payment in those taxes.
to have those discussions and to formalize the informal formal arrangements that have existed for many years that have worked, but it's to our advantage and to theirs to formalize these servicing arrangements in an agreement. Peggy and I have also talked about the possible development opportunities in both municipalities along County Road 25 as well as Highway 4, and that I'm certainly mindful of the community concerns that have been expressed by the Grandview redevelopment, but at the same time, there's advantage in having that property redeveloped and revitalized, and Peggy and I see it as possibly a catalyst for future development, commercial development in both municipalities along this intersection. So those are some discussions that we've had just on an informal basis.
I don't know if what timeframes are, but I agree with Councillor Bodden that we should, put to paper our position on, the issues around site plan at the very least, regarding traffic flows, and send that off to the county so they have a copy of our concerns in that regard before their meeting.
And there's the health department too. I'm surprised that they haven't been showing their faces in this debate.
Plumbing inspector, you
They're too busy.
I
Because
questioned,
you're trying to figure out how to do the plumbing inspection.
I questioned Scott Tusaw about the site of the assembly yard for hogs being right next door, and said, I asked if it did not require the setback of 300 meters or whatever, 100 meters, because it's a hog barn, and he said, no, it doesn't apply because it's only an occasional use, and so the setback is not required.
Good for them.
Work up something and some background for the next one. Okay, that's good. Moving on, committee reports. Dave, is there anything startling that didn't get into the minutes?
On the CHIP report, we just had another meeting on last Wednesday, and we're going ahead with more radio advertising and some billboard advertising in the area, and basically focusing on number one, seniors driving seminars again this year, so that people over 65, like Brock and myself, can go to a seminar and learn how to drive properly.
It's a secret.
And but the other is focusing on talking on phones and texting while driving and this type of thing. So there's a whole series of radio ads going out for that. And the speed sign is still going out around the county in different locations.
Okay, thank you.
And if anyone would like the speed sign in their community, if they give me a call, it will show up.
Okay. Moving to Wingham BIA, is there anything to add, Bernie? Any questions? Okay. Wingham Area Health Professionals Recruitment Committee. From this morning's meeting, one of the big things was the ability to have nurse practitioners because of, I'll say, inequities between different governments, provincial government sponsored programs. Some programs are much better funded than the family health teams. So that that is one thing that is being looked at, and we're trying to do something to address it.
Your Worship, I think this council should support that position. And I've known both nurse practitioners, and they basically got cannibalized by another program. Very unfortunate, because they were both
They were good.
excellent nurse practitioners, and really were a great asset to the North Huron Family Health team. So through you, I wonder if you would ask the Physician Recruitment Committee that if they need any assistance in sending a letter to a government body, through the Ministry of Health or whoever, that this is jeopardizing and making recruitment very difficult for the family health teams. Hopefully that would raise some eyebrows and maybe wake a few people up that that's causing great problems in small rural towns in Ontario.
There is a letter from the group is already being formulated. There was a number of points given this morning for it. Okay, ready for bylaw? Bylaw number 61, 2013. Being a bylaw to authorize the Reeve clerk to sign on behalf of council a land lease agreement between Glenn Warwick and Robert Warwick and the Corporation of the Township of North Huron for the lease of lands at the Wingham Municipal Airport for 2014, 15, 16 calendar years.
I move first, second, third reading.
Vaughan and
I'll second.
McGowan.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, if I might just through you to Mr. Warwick, thank him for his patience through this process, and apologize for any issues that have been caused throughout the negotiating process. You've always been an outstanding tenant, and we appreciate your patience with us, and we're glad that you've signed on for the 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you for revisiting it, and business as usual.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council reports and inquiries.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it would be worth considering looking at the land in Hutton Heights and having it rezoned from its commercial agriculture or whatever it is to a light industrial zone, and what the cost of such zone change would be. And the reason for thinking that is if we have that land that is zoned so that it is developable, then we can put it up for sale and sell it either to a land developer or a speculator to raise enough money to get the services out to it.
I'm not against investigating that. I think an important part of that puzzle is, I think we initially need to have a sit down with some of the residential property owners along that piece of property. Let's sit down and have a round table with them and gauge what kind of support we would have from them. It sort of stops and starts with them, to be quite honest, because if they don't want light industrial in that property that's nearby them, there's no sense in spending a lot of money. I think we have to make the case for industrial development, the lack of lands and all those types of things, and show them the difference between light industrial and obviously heavy commercial industrial, and see what kind of support that we would get for that kind of venture. I do agree that I think that we need to move out in that direction, not just with industrial, but I can see other commercial aspects moving along the highway out there as we are running out of room. And I think we have to look for opportunities in the long term for, in some manner, carving commercial all along the highway there and keeping the back parts clearly designated agricultural. I think there's great opportunities along there as well as going in the other direction.
James?
Can we invite all those landowners at the same time?
So why
Because they
not?
might as well all be together.
Yeah.
It's all part of the parking question.
If I may add, that there's two other landowners, one that has a number of lots and the other that has approximately 9 acres of developable land that would fit in, and that have them invited at the same time.
I would invite, if I might, your worship, anybody that would be within the mailing area, which that was the 500 meters or whatever it is. If we go ahead with the rezoning, I would use that as your radius and invite those people. Because those are the people that, will raise their concerns and may be
No.
affected.
Do we invite the Morris Turnberry residents as well?
I don't think there's any reason why not.
I would say we do.
Rock?
This is purely speculation, because I haven't really looked at a map for a long time, but I know at one point we did talk about if something developed there, that there could be an access road to Highway 86. If that's the case, apparently there was no need for a bridge, I'm just guessing that. For future development purposes, if we could build a road there and drive the services through in the same pathway, would that be cheaper than trying to go under the river and all the $2 million that they've told us would cost to get servicing out to that area? It's just a thought, and it's probably ridiculous, but it just occurred to me that it might work.
That's another thing that could possibly be looked at.
And that would change the effect perhaps with the residents who are living close by if there's another access.
The road wouldn't be cheap,
No.
but, Councillor Bailey.
I'm glad to see that we're finally going to start making a move on some industrial land, create some jobs, which creates people buying houses, which creates less taxes. Although, as you all know, I'm in a bit of disagreement with that location based on many reasons. But I'm truly happy to see that we're going to go ahead with this, and we're going to talk to the landowners, and we're going to discuss it. And if it's a go, we'll go, and if it's not, we'll look at another direction. But it's been a long 3 years for me, and I just appreciate you guys stepping forward now.
There have been, council and staff have had informal discussions about creating an industrial land strategy that would encompass Blythe, East Wawanosh, and Wingham. Not that there's a lot of industrial land available, but there is some. There's some potential industrial land in all 3 wards. So we've had discussions about acquiring land, servicing that land, and marketing it as service industrial land. So I think we want to bring forward industrial land strategy, and I think this is certainly a key component of it. Our investment in Hutton Heights and the possibilities there. But I think certainly we need to engage the residents of Hutton Heights and engage their thoughts on possible industrial development, because that may determine our efforts.
And I think we need to formulate what the vision is for that area before we meet with the residents. So we'll need to sort of expedite that so we have something to take to them. Because there will inevitably be many questions about, well, what is it that you foresee there? And that might not happen overnight. That might be long-term thinking. But I think you'll need to frame the vision somehow so that they know, kind of what the thought process is and what the plan is on the go forward, so they can make some intelligent decisions for the best for them and their properties as well.
Oh, Councillor Bailey?
And I don't really want to put a deadline on it, but we are rolling into our 4th year as a council. And this is something that, and we've all talked about it, as Gary said, it's been bounced around quite a bit. And as Archie said, this is a long-term strategy. Some of us may be gone before it actually shows a revenue coming back. But I'd like to see us do something before this is handed over to the next council. Put the legwork down, the footwork on the ground, and move it along. not just give an idea to the next councils. Thank you.
Other points for Deputy Reeve?
When I was at the AMO convention this year, I picked up a book, Rural Community Economic Development by Dr. Wayne Caldwell. And I purchased that book, and I just finished reading it over the weekend. And there's just a lot of really, really good stuff in it. If anyone would like to borrow the book, I've written my name in the front of it so I can get it back. But it is a good read, and I would recommend it to anyone.
Trust.
That's why they don't like it.
Thank you, that's a good point, Dave. Brock?
I'm going to a conference next week in Sarnia for the Community Futures Development Programs. And one of the sessions that I'm particularly interested in is really ideas for economic development in rural communities. I'm looking forward to that, so my compliment. Maybe Wayne is presenter.
In that same vein, that I'm going to a meeting in Fergus on Thursday about hiking trails and possible economic development that could follow. So that it's 8:30 to 4:30, so it's a long day, but hopefully I'll pick up a number of things.
Just one other, I've had a couple of ratepayers come to me, and they're very happily pleased to see that there is now Wi-Fi in the complex, and they wanted me to pass along their great thanks, because that was something that they really felt was lacking, and they really are appreciative of it.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's nothing else from council, clerk administrator's report.
Okay, thank you, Reed. Provided to council with a copy of a report from our planner, Sally McMullen, regarding this Wednesday's, oh, I noticed it perhaps wasn't copied. I think you've received copies of the letters from ratepayers. I believe there's some comments from staff. I think we missed the actual report, although I think I sent that out to you by email. But Sally has provided a 5-page report and recommendation for this Wednesday's public meeting to do with the Wingham Creek development. The purpose of the meeting is to review the zoning bylaw amendment as well as the draft plan of subdivision. It's a public meeting. Council will be sitting as the planning advisory committee. No decisions will be made. It's an opportunity for council and staff and the consultants to receive input from the community. So we've provided you a copy of her report and the correspondence we've received to date. Also wanted to note that the ballpark, the new ballpark in Wingham, the official opening is Saturday, September 28th from noon until 4:30. And we'll provide more details to council later this week. Also wanted to note that as a follow-up to this evening's visit and tour of the new elementary school in Wingham, I received a note from our Director of Fire and Emergency Services to inform council that a fire drill is set for September 26th. He also noted that FD&H officers will be taking trucks and equipment to the school this Thursday to review apparatus positioning in case of an emergency. He also noted that our fire prevention officer and himself have been through the school thoroughly. I also wanted to share my time with our economic development officer.
I just have one other thing. I had wanted to talk about the real estate, the commercial real estate thing, and I wanted to just keep you informed. I met today with Diane Harrison at the Center for Employment and Learning to discuss some ways that we can meet some of the training needs that were identified in the BRNE. It was stressed in the BRNE that there was a need, employers really wanted to see training available locally. It also ties into our strategic plan that we want, to make training available for our workforce. So the Center for Employment and Learning is actually currently looking for input from the community on ways that they can enter into collaborative planning for local employment and training needs or learning needs. So I have left on your desk a hard copy of the survey that they are really looking for input for. The deadline was last Friday. They haven't received a lot of input yet. This is really our opportunity to ask them, to say to them, this is really what we need in our community. So with my meeting with Diane today, they are really eager partners to look forward to how we can contribute to a well-trained, well-connected workforce in our area. So if you could take the opportunity, fill out the survey, get it back to myself or the Center for Employment and Learning, share the link or share the information on doing the survey with other employers or people in the area, we would really, really appreciate it, because I really need to come up with a plan for training for the future. So, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. Public gallery questions and/or comments? Trevor?
So I have been coming to these council meetings for probably a good 3 months now, and I have a comment of a good nature. The fact that the grouping that we had on from Gary and his department heads of all the good information that is going on in the municipality, there's a lot of negative that connotes with council and running a business, any business, whether it be council or your own business. The good news never makes it. Never makes it to the ratepayer. Only the bad news does. So that's the stuff that needs to get out in mailing, emails, whatever the case may be, because that's the stuff that brings communities together, not the negative crap, because the other stuff doesn't matter. It matters only if you're going to fix it, and if you're not going to fix it, then it becomes a big problem. But the stuff that on that 4 pages, that's a lot of work. And that's only the big ones. So the fact is, yes, we have council, yes, we have employees, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of work. There's a lot of graphical area they have to manage. So the fact is, my point is, this is the good news story. Not whatever else is going on at the town hall or the ballpark or whatever. This stuff is the good news story that needs to get out there. People like Wingham. There are, and North Huron, Blythe, East Wallinosh. There are people who are responsible with getting people to come to this town, ratepayers included. So we all need to start looking at the good stuff and less focus on the negative, because that's what's going to bring people to this town, and that's what's going to bring people to North Huron. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Trevor. Denny?
Just got a press release before we walked in here about you guys apparently buying a school. I was wondering, since you did talk about the health board, the recruitment board there, you might want to elaborate on what that school's going to be used for.
Well, can I ask a question?
Guess I'm a step ahead.
Who's releasing a press release that we're buying the school?
The school board.
It was just released at 5 minutes after 5.
Oh.
It was a media advisory.
Oh, a media advisory.
Yes.
Well, that's not what it says.
Are they calling it a news release?
Definitely.
News release.
Well, that was awful nice of them to let us know.
I wondered if there was any comment on what the school's going to be used for.
Not seeing as we didn't know we were buying it.
The position recruitment committee has nothing to do with that. It's all in having the professionals that we need to meet the services required in the community, so that,
Can you table that? Can I table that?
Well, you can, but something's going in the paper tomorrow.
Well, I think we could probably give you some people to go talk to.
the people that know a lot more about it.
Yeah. We're not buying it.
No,
Just
it's
to be clear.
being bought on behalf of the
Yeah.
hospital. That's what I was getting at there is why? What's the end purpose?
I think you'd have to talk to the hospital about what they're talking about, what they're going to purpose the school for. I don't think we should be speaking on their behalf.
Okay.
It's a good news story.
It is a good
It
news.
is a good
news. It's a great news
Right now.
story.
I was just wondering, Gary, you mentioned that you had a U circle around. I don't know if I could get a copy of it, the Outlet Creek development that's at a meeting happening Wednesday.
Yeah.
If I could get a copy of
Copy
that.
the staff report? Yeah, sure.
As it's open to the public.
Anything else? Any questions or comments?
What else did we do, Denny?
I just said for more information, contact Gary Long.
Oh.
I'm sure there's
We
someone else that
know
will
a
be.
different group
We'll
that's,
see that.
Actually, Gary's buying it.
Yeah, there's the
I
news
get big
story.
bucks.
He's written a check for $90 million.
Okay,
I just like the one thing, I mean, I really appreciate what Trevor said this evening. Many of us around the table have been preaching that for a long time, that there are groups of individuals that get so focused on the negative that's going on in town, and there's really incredible things going on in North Huron right now. It's probably the brightest that it's been in our community in a long, long time. Do we have work to do? Absolutely, but I think we're really have a diligent focus in the direction that we're going, and we're working towards that. And, I think that's kudos goes to the staff for all their hard work, and I know we're going to continue that, but it's nice to hear that from Trevor, because there is so much negativity coming from, various groups. So thanks.
Gary.
Just a quick note on the sale of the Wingham Public School. As Councillor McGowan has noted, the Wingham Hospital will be purchasing the school, but the township helped to facilitate discussions with the school board, and as per the education regulations, the school board cannot sell a school to, there's a list of eligible organizations that could.
Buy it before the auction.
Precisely. And so a municipality is one of those organizations, so whereas a hospital is not listed under regulations as an eligible organization, so.
We were unanimous too. We were unanimous in helping that out.
Is there anything for in camera?
Nothing's negative.
Okay, confirmatory bylaw, do I have a mover? McGowan and Reach. All in favor? Carried. Next scheduled council meeting, Monday, October 7th. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Callahan and Bob. All in favor? Carried. We're done.